Preparing materials and workspace. Before you start working, you need to prepare everything you need. An HB2 pencil is the best choice for creating a sketch. It is hard enough to make clear lines that do not smudge, but soft enough for light strokes that are easy to erase. An eraser is for removing auxiliary lines and adjusting details. Thick paper, half the size of an A4 sheet. Such paper is convenient for detailed elaboration and is resistant to repeated erasing. It is important to organize a well-lit workplace and fix the paper to the surface so that it does not slip while working. Building basic proportions and markings. The basis of any sketch of a person is the correct distribution of proportions, oval of the head and marking of the face. The first step is to create an oval of the head, made with light lines so that it is easy to adjust. The oval should be proportional to the supposed build of the character. After that, the oval is divided by a vertical line, which indicates the central axis of the face. This line will help to symmetrically place the eyes, nose, and mouth. Next, draw two horizontal lines, one at eye level, the second at mouth level. These lines serve as a guide for the correct placement of facial features and will help to further define the character's image, central lines of the body. After marking the face, create the central lines of the spine, as well as the lines of the arms and legs. The vertical line of the spine serves as the basis for constructing the entire body. From the spine, at an angle, outline the lines of the arms and legs, setting the character's pose. These lines are important for the correct posing of the figure and conveying the nature of the movement. Detailing from the head to the legs. The main principle of detailing is movement from top to bottom, starting with the face and head, which helps to define the character's character, and then shape the body in accordance with the image. Elaboration of the face, using the outlined horizontal lines, draw the eyes. They should be symmetrical on both sides of the central vertical line. Then add the nose and mouth, the shape of which also affects the perception of the image. Hair is an important element that shapes the character of the character. Voluminous or smooth hair can immediately set the mood. At this stage, a decision is made, a guy or a girl. Facial features, the shape of the chin, lips, eyebrows, will help determine the gender of the character, creating a body silhouette. After the face, the body is drawn. The neck smoothly connects to the upper body. The shoulders and torso are shaped in accordance with the character of the figure. The arms and legs are drawn in a given pose. At this stage, the proportions of the body are adjusted depending on the chosen image. Wider shoulders or a narrow waist, long or short limbs. Final detailing. After the general shape of the body, small but important details are added. Clothes, the contours of the shirt, pants, and shoes are drawn. Buttons are an important touch to give the image a complete look. They are placed along the center line of the shirt, emphasizing the symmetry. Outlining the lines. The final outlining is done with a harder press of a pencil or liner to highlight the main contours. Removing auxiliary lines. At this stage, all previously outlined auxiliary lines are carefully removed with an eraser. Central axes, guides for the eyes and mouth, contours of the limbs that were not included in the final image. This gives the drawing a clean and neat look. Final touches and analysis. At the last stage, the entire sketch is analyzed. The proportions of the body are checked. The harmony of the lines and pose is assessed. If necessary, minimal corrections are made. If all elements are balanced, the sketch is considered complete. Before you start painting, it's important to make sure you have all the necessary materials and tools at hand, and that your work surface is protected from possible paint stains. Acrylic paints, unlike watercolors or gouache, dry quickly, so the work area should be well lit, preferably with enough free space to place the palette, water, and brushes. Brushes, a thin brush for carefully drawing contours, small details, eyes, mouth, buttons, etc. A medium round or flat brush for coloring the main areas of the character. You mentioned that you basically use the same thin brush for everything because the drawing is small, but having a spare brush is also useful. A fan brush for creating effects on the background. The brush is fan-shaped. Paints, acrylic, and different colors. The main colors you will need are orange, yellow, brown, black, white, pink, or red mixed with white to make pink, and any other colors you plan to mix. Water, used as a solvent to thin the acrylic. Keep in mind that when working with acrylic paints, you need to quickly wash your brushes so that the paint does not dry on the bristles. Palette. A special plastic or paper palette will do, and at home you can use disposable plates. The palette is needed to mix the paints and control their thickness. Clothing protection. Since acrylic paint does not wash off after drying, it is advisable to wear an apron or old clothes. General concept of color. In your description, the character is wearing an orange shirt, brown pants, and shoes. He has brown hair and yellow areas of the skin. You use a certain order. You start with the outlines on the right, then move on to coloring the main areas, moving from right to left, then from left to right, gradually coloring the entire body and details. Below is a step-by-step diagram. Step-by-step coloring of the character. Start with the outlines of the torso and arms, orange paint. Prepare orange paint on the palette. If the paint seems too thick, add a little water to achieve a comfortable consistency for you. Outlining on the right, with a thin brush, carefully draw an orange color around the outer outline of the arm and torso on the right side. Outlining on the left, similarly outline the outline on the left side. Since the character is not very big, you can immediately fill, color, the inner area of the shirt, where the outline has already been drawn. But in your description, you proceed to adding yellow for greater variability of the shirt color. So after creating the initial outline, it is better to immediately mix the desired shade. Adding yellow to orange and coloring the shirt. On the palette, mix orange paint with a small amount of yellow to get a lighter shade. Taking up paint on the brush, start coloring the shirt from the left side, moving to the right, or vice versa, depending on your convenience and preference. Try to keep the layer even. If the paint is too thick somewhere, or conversely, the paper shows through, adjust the amount of water or paint on the brush. If necessary, you can add more yellow or orange to enhance or weaken the color saturation. Coloring the pants, orange plus brown. On the palette, mix orange and brown to get a darker muted shade. Use a thin brush, weaken the contours of the pants from right to left. Try to make the lines neat because this will determine the clarity of the silhouette. After outlining the contours, start filling in the pants, using even brush movements from the bottom up. Fill the legs with the resulting dark orange or brownish shade. Make sure that the color of the pants differs from the shirt and shoes, but at the same time harmonizes with them. Detailing the shoes and buttons. Shoes. You indicated that you are painting the boots in brown, moving from left to right. For the shoes, you can use a darker brown shade than for the pants, so that the boots do not blend in with the fabric. Elastic at the bottom of the pants. For this, you take a dark orange color. Carefully apply paint to the bottom edge of the pants, separating them from the boots. Buttons. I have already marked their location while painting the shirt. Now, with a thin brush, add either a dark color, black-brown for the buttons themselves, or a light color if you want them to stand out. Black is usually used, dark brown or even white for contrast. Hair coloring brown. For the hair, you have chosen brown. Start by contouring around the face. Use a thin brush to go along the hairline, moving from right to left to outline the border of the hairstyle. Then paint the inner part of the hair. You have indicated that you are moving from the bottom up, sometimes moving from one side to the other. This helps to distribute the paint evenly. Make sure that the paint does not get on the already painted parts of the face. If it goes onto the skin somewhere, you can quickly rinse the brush, take a little face color, and carefully correct the line. Skin coloring yellow, orange, pink, face and neck. You're using yellow for the skin and orange for the chin. First, apply an even layer of yellow paint to the neck. Let it dry slightly. For the chin, use orange. Using a light brush stroke, highlight the lower part of the face, trying to blend the orange and yellow smoothly so that the transition is not too abrupt. The rest of the face, paint it yellow. If you want, you can mix in a drop of white to make the shade more flesh tone. But in your case, you explicitly indicated that you were using pure yellow. Hands. Similar to the face, you paint the hands and forearms yellow, moving from right to left, then left to right. Facial features and small details. Eyes. For the whites of the eyes, use white acrylic paint. Let it dry. Then add black or dark brown pupils. Mouth. According to you, it is pink. To get pink, you can mix red and white, or use a ready-made pink shade. Carefully outline the shape of the lips with a thin brush. The vertical line of the shirt and belt. You use black to emphasize this detail and create contrast. Use a thin brush to draw a vertical line on the shirt and paint a belt over the pants if it is visible. Creating a background with a fan brush. After finishing work on the character, you are left with mixed paint on the palette. You add water to it and use a fan brush to get some abstract texture or light brush strokes for the background. Mixing leftover paint. Often orange, brown, yellow, and other colors are left on the palette. By mixing them together with water, you get a unique, muted shade that can serve as a background base. Application technique. A fan brush allows you to make wide brush strokes, streaks, and interesting, feathery transitions. Using light brush movements, apply paint to the free areas of the sheet around the character. Uniformity and depth. To prevent the background from looking monotonous, you can vary the pressure on the brush and the direction of the brush strokes. Horizontal, diagonal, wavy. Layers. Acrylic dries quickly, so if you want to make the background more dense or add new shades, wait until the first layer dries and apply another one on top. Tips for working with acrylic. Drying speed. Acrylic dries quite quickly, so it is important to wash your brushes immediately to prevent the paint from drying on the bristles. Mixing colors. Experiment on the palette before applying paint to the drawing. It is better to spend a little time finding the right shade than to repaint an already applied layer. Layers and overlaps. If necessary, acrylic paints can be applied in several layers to achieve the desired density and color. It is important to let each layer dry so that the colors do not mix uncontrollably. Using water, a small amount of water helps the paint glide better on the surface and prolongs the drying time. But too much water can make the color pale or lead to smudges. Analysis and finishing touches. Evaluating the composition. Look at the drawing as a whole. Make sure that all the main details look harmonious, correcting inaccuracies. If you notice flaws in the coloring, for example, the paint went beyond the outline, wait until the layer dries and carefully cover the desired place with the desired color. Adding accents. If desired, you can add small shadows or highlights by mixing the main color with white or black. For example, slightly darken the edges of the hair or make a highlight on the shirt. Protecting the work. If you plan to keep the work for a long time, you can cover it with acrylic varnish after the paints have completely dried. Thus, the process of coloring a sketch with acrylic paints includes sequentially applying contours, filling in the main color areas, shirt, pants, hair, skin, shoes, drawing small details, buttons, facial features, and also the final design of the background with a fan brush. Your technique of alternating directions, from right to left and from left to right, helps distribute the paint evenly and gives you the ability to control the shape and saturation of the colors. The main thing is not to forget to wash the brush, mix the shades on the palette, and let the layers dry so that the final work turns out neat and expressive.